Welcome to the Gym Secrets Podcast with myself, Cale Owen, Mike Ferreira, and Ed Turney. This podcast has one simple goal: make gym owners wildly successful. We have each owned or currently own profitable gyms, and over the past 5 years, we have helped over 5,000 gyms become massively profitable through the secrets we will share on this podcast. And if you listen in closely, we guarantee that you will be able to build a wildly profitable gym. Enjoy, and as always, if you find value in this, do us a massive favor and just share this with other gym owners that you know. All right, let's jump into this, guys. Ed, you had a topic. You said you just got off a call and you were talking with some gym owners, one of them specifically around breaking beliefs around ad spend, right? And about growth.
Yep.
Back to the basics, right?
Yeah. What were they saying?
It's basically it's probably the most common conversation that I have. And it's, the gym owner's like, hey, we're either breaking even or we're plateaued or we're at capacity or all these different like limiting beliefs. And I'm like, cool, let's look at the numbers. And every single time, as long as they're selling the right offer, which is usually going to be a 6-week challenge at least $600, they are profitable on getting the person in the gym. Meaning if they spend $200 on Facebook ads, a human walks in and pays them $600. And then, of course, they sell them supplements because they're smart. So they're making at least a 3-to-1 return on the ad spend. And yet people are like, but I don't want to spend more money. And I'm like, why? Like, well, I got to get better at my closing percentage. I got to get better at my show percentage. I got to get better at my booking percentage. And I'm like, all that's true. You should get better at that. I go, but what would be more reasonable? Having more reps to get better at it or having less reps or the same reps? Because at the end of the day, this is my personal belief, like if I just broke even on acquisition, I'm super happy. And in this case, the business model works in a profitable way, even if they don't stay after the 6 weeks, which obviously they will. And so just this like limiting belief, this fear of like, if I spend more money, I'm going to lose more money, when we all know that the more you spend, when it's a profitable system, the more you make. And it's not a little bit more, it's a lot more.
What do you think the reservation is there? Do you think it's just years of not having a profitable acquisition system? Like they've literally never actually either paid attention to the data, right? Or they've spent a lot of money before and they've lost it several different times because they didn't have the right acquisition system. I just wonder what it is. Because I've seen it, right? It's like when you dig in, the gym owners they're hitting a ceiling, right? Hey, I can't grow. Their churn is at a certain point. Their acquisition is basically just making up for the negative every month, and they're just on that hamster wheel. But really, if they keep churn where they are and then just increase acquisition, right? Increase that ad spend and keep all those, key metrics where they need to be, right? Your schedule rate, your show rate, your close rate. Yeah, they could then net more members. But you're right, there is a resistance around it. There's definitely a resistance of going from, let's say they're spending $50 a day, going to 100, or what in our community we see commonly is $100 a day. Right. But it's like, I don't know if I could spend more than that. Are you serious? It's like so far beyond, but I don't know. I think back to it. I had reservations the first time. Yeah. Right.
Me too. Yeah. It's emotional. It's just an emotional response. Like it makes sense. I mean, I'll share. So this week, my team at the new gym that we got is closing pretty bad. They're closing 38% of people. That's pretty bad. However, we're still 5-to-1 for the week on ads.
Unbelievable.
Like, should we fix that? Yeah, but we're not going to spend less. I'm like, let's spend more. Like, let's get them more reps. They'll get better faster with more reps, not less. Right? Like, and I think people like, there's diminishing returns. I'm like, if it's profit, I'll take whatever returns you want to give me. Like, I don't care. Like, we're spending $300 a day right now. We're going to go to $350.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to keep spending. Like, as long as the math makes sense, we're going to keep going. And then the next thing breaks.
I'd love to dive into the 38% sales rate because they were crushing, right? They were like at 60 something. But yeah, I wonder, I just want to go a little deeper on like, what do you think just stops gym owners from repeating successful actions? Like why is it?
I think it's a thermostat metaphor. You guys have heard that thing before? Where just like whatever your normal like level is, especially when it comes to money, when you start to do too much, you like automatically go back down to like what you're comfortable in. Or like if you grew up in a super high, stressful, chaotic, whatever thing, you like seek that in other people. Like we're always trying to like stay at our equilibrium, like what we're used to. Like what we're used to is comfortable. And like I did that. Like we all have the story of we needed to make rent or taxes or payroll or whatever big bill, and then we learned we made it, but then we like could only make it for somebody else until we realized we could just make it for ourselves. So then people just like stay at the level that they're comfortable and they don't challenge themselves. But
so
that's why most people stay small business as opposed to growing really fast.
Yeah.
You got to be uncomfortable.
I think it is really interesting because looking back after working with so many gyms and having access to all this stuff, the top gyms, the ones that got to $1 million or more, were all spending on average $8,000 a month on ads.
Mm-hmm.
And they were doing that before they were $1 million gyms. So like they were spending a ton of money because they realized that the math worked. And then what they did is they either just decided to ignore their fears or they didn't have any fear around it. It was either or, but they took action on it. And it's like, those are your two decisions. You can just continue to make the decision of being small and deciding not to grow by making the decision to not spend or not invest in growth. And when people think invest in growth in the gyms, they think invest in their people, invest in their equipment, invest in all the things that frankly don't make them money compared to investing in just pure marketing. Like, what if you just spent more on advertising across multiple channels to get more people in and do it? And it's funny because I remember talking to one gym owner and they were horrible operators. And I mean horrendous operators. They had multiple locations, but they could sell. And they went from, they would do appointments. They had 2 salespeople doing 5-on-1s for 5 straight hours every night. And they were spending $20,000 a month per location. And they had 2 in each location. And they were selling 60 to 80 people every single month. Now, if they had a great operator and had a great system and weren't just assholes when as owners, they would have blown up and they probably would have created a franchise. But they crushed it in that one aspect. And they were so good at it because they put aside any fear. They looked at the numbers and then they just went all in. And what's funny, like we talk about it, right? It's like, what's the absolute return?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So like, let's say you do 10-1 on $1,000. Great. You make $10,000 and your absolute return is 9, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what if you spent 5,000 and you got 5-1 returns,
Mm-hmm.
right? Then you would have made $20,000 in absolute returns, right? Would you rather make 20,000 or 9,000? Which one? Right? And if you look at it from that standpoint, it's like, okay, well, it's a different ballgame. And when you look at all the big players, they don't care about spending money. They never care about spending money. If it's ROI positive, like we have the conversations with APG, right? The private equity company. They're like, oh, you're 2-1 or 3-1, which we're not. We're better than that. But like you're profitable in your acquisition. Cool. Let's spend more. Let's do more of that. Let's just focus on that, right? Mm-hmm. And the game becomes really simple when you do that.
I think gym owners just have so many years of not understanding these metrics and not really measuring what it costs to acquire somebody, right? Not even knowing how expensive it is.
But then also something emotional happens. Like, so when salespeople are also the coaches, when you do sales and fulfillment in the same role, eventually you're going to get some refunds. You're going to get some negative people. I asked the team this morning, I go, guys, so who canceled? Who refunded? Who sent a mean message? And they were like, oh, this person. I was like,
yep.
This is why you're feeling, right? Like your conviction is lower because of negative Nancy. Like that's why it's a challenge to have people that can do both, right? So you have to simultaneously, in my opinion, continue to work on the product aggressively. Because if you consciously know you're working to make your product better and better and better, like actually making it better, like better communication cadences, better member events, all the things, better, right? Knowing everyone's name, saying hello all the time, like always being in a good mood. If you're actively doing that, you will have more conviction in the sales process. But it's when you just focus on sales and you don't focus on product that the emotional human part comes out and you feel guilty. You're like, I know I'm saying things that are not true. I'm making promises I can't fulfill. So people get to that point and then they go, I gotta fix this. It's not this or that. It's both. Keep spending, keep selling, and then use the profit to make the thing better. You have to do both simultaneously, which is why it's not easy, but it is remarkably simple.
But I think that feedback loop to the sales team is key, right? Like I think too many times there's so many wins happening in a gym. There's so many lives that are changed, weight being lost, whatever, and it doesn't maybe get to, everybody that's sitting in that sales seat, right? And that's why not only do you want to work on your product, but as part of focusing on sales, you've got to breathe conviction into the sales team whoever is actually putting that membership down at the front desk, who's ever sitting in a consultation to talk through how much it's going to, cost today or for the year. They've got to truly believe in that. And if they're too far away from the success stories that this product creates in this gym and these trainers are really, making happen, then it just becomes numbers on paper. And like you said, those things like when they can catch wind of an issue in the gym, the bathrooms are dirty, somebody's upset about the broken equipment, that then supersedes, because they just have, they're not that convicted about the product. And so it's so easy, right, for them to get emotional when they hear these negative things. And so whether it's massive amounts of testimonials, right, on the wall, it's telling stories of the latest success stories, like every single, morning, having a sales huddle, whatever you can do to breathe conviction into your team, I think that alone is going to affect sales in a positive way, right? But of course, you've got to have a great product to be able to have those stories to tell, right? Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, it comes full circle for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys think that that's why a lot of gym owners struggle to sell higher ticket or want to put more money into marketing, is because of the fact that they truly subconsciously and consciously don't believe that their product is worthy of it? So they have skated by with what they think is okay. And then as soon as someone's like, you should be doing this, they're like, oh, shoot, my product or service is not worth it.
Well, we have data that proves that. I mean, we have data that proves that on Prestige Labs. We have gyms that sell Prestige Labs better than we sell Prestige Labs, but they can't sell their own services. It gets really interesting. Yeah. Some of our best Prestige Labs affiliates still, if it wasn't for making supplement sales, they would not have any money because they believe in the product so much, but they don't believe in their product of the service in the gym, which was that was a hard thing for me to actually accept for a long time. I was like, what's the issue here? I'm like, how are they not doing well everywhere? They're only doing well with one thing. Because they're not outworking their self-doubt. They're not working on that product violently.
It's crazy. I had an interesting call today. We're kind of switching tune a little bit, but it's very interesting. We're talking about product. I had an interesting call with a guy in another country who's being courted by a public company that has a private health company. They're one of the largest companies in this country, worth over $1 billion, and they own a private health company. And part of that is they have a chain of 19 gyms in the country. And when they acquired the gyms total as a portfolio, they're doing roughly, I think it was 18 million a year top line across the locations. So they have in our realm, they have Planet Fitness style. Then they have not quite lifetime expensive, but somewhere kind of mid tier. And then they have nothing else. It's actually just those two types of locations, and they're all health clubs. And when they bought them 3 or 4 years ago, they were doing 18, 19. And now today they've increased headcount by over 220 people across the 19 locations, which is mind blowing to me. How do you need that many people? But they've lost $7 million a year in revenue. And so they're losing $1.5, $2 million a year from this. And so they're asking this one guy that I was talking to, he's asking for some advice on some stuff. And they were courting him to acquire his businesses, which are highly profitable. They run at 25% net margins, and they crush. And he's exceptional as an operator. They want to bring him in, make him the CEO of the entire thing, grow it, scale it to the largest portfolio of gyms in the country. And it's a smaller country. It's not a big country, but they really, it's very interesting to see. But it's fascinating to me that you've got this major corporation that's made tons of money, and then when they get into the gym business, they just don't do the basics. For example, this guy's doing his due diligence, and he had himself and his teams go in and opt in and try to purchase memberships from the websites. They couldn't do it. These are low ticket, $29 a month memberships. He had his team, he had 5 different people go in and apply to be coached by them or to apply for memberships. They they applied on the website, they went through the forms, they called them, did it? No replies. 0 replies. This company also, their brand is the most searched when it comes to weight loss in the country. They have the highest organic search volume, and they're still losing money every single year. And it's just fascinating because it goes back to just doing the basics, which is the same on sales. Like when we talk about trying to grow, the basics would be let's spend more. When we talk about product, it's like, cool, why don't we just simply reply to all of our clients? Why don't we know them by name? Why don't we make sure that our events are incredible? Why don't we write them a handwritten card at worst once a quarter, right? Why don't we treat them like humans and actually care about them? And then on the like organizational side, why don't we just do the basics of replying to people that reach out to us, right? And it's like, it's fascinating to me because it's the same on our side, right? We look at like on the, so Jim launched one of the companies in our portfolio, right? We would have hit our goal this past quarter in sales. It's crazy that we're actually ahead of like budget and everything like that. But like sales wise, absolute sales numbers, if we had just spent the amount of money that we needed to, and like we've been pushing on this agency that was running our ads to spend, and they just didn't for like 4 to 5 weeks. And it's like, just spend the money. And we were spending an eighth of what we should have. And if we had just spent the money that we wanted to, we would have made up.
Yep. We would have hit it.
Right.
Yep. And it goes back to like accountability also, like who's overseeing what, making sure there's an absolute sense of urgency, right, within that individual, and making sure that you're always looking at the data and making sure that you know where you stand, right? So you can say, all right, so if this continues, where are we going to land, right? 4 weeks, 8 weeks out. And at least for me, like even a personal lesson there, right, within what happened like this quarter, that sense of urgency and looking at data and making decisions faster is so important in every business. Like the fact that, Ed, you said, you know that your team closed 38%. You know how many gym owners don't know that? Right? They're just happen to be the one not selling. So they're, so being close to the data, even when you're not the one in the seat doing the thing, is so important. What am I going to do with the data, knowing where it should land, and then what adjustment do we need to make? The fact that you then knew the question to ask, right? Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
I think it's interesting. There's a lesson in this too on our side. But like for me, I think the bigger lesson that I've taken from this past quarter, as well as watching these other companies, is like not believing that people are actually doing what they say they're doing. And that's so bad. Like probably get nailed on this. People are like, you need to believe that the people are doing it. Well, it's like, yeah, but the results aren't there. So then what happens is every time that I have ever let go of someone, every single time that we in this organization have ever let go of someone, we go in and we find out that they are not doing the things that they told us that they were doing every single time.
Every time.
100% of the time. And it's like, it becomes one of those things where people are like, I don't want to be micromanaged. I don't want to do this. Well, there's a difference between micromanaging and actually just doing your fucking job. Right. Mm-hmm. And it's like, if you did your job, I wouldn't micromanage you. Like there's a saying in baseball, like if you hit line drives and you hit standing on your head, nobody's going to question you. You can do whatever you want. But if you get the job done, you get the job done. Right. Mm-hmm. It's the same thing in any role. Like if you say you're doing stuff, then it better be done, because when time comes to actually check up on you and it's not happening, trust has been just completely destroyed, which means that I can't trust the next person. I can't give them another project, which means why are you even on the team? Mm-hmm. Right. And this is like the biggest, in my opinion, at like mid-manager, like that middle manager role of individuals, because they're like at this point where they're kind of a little bit away from the day-to-day of like the tactical stuff, and they're managing and they're looking at stuff. And so there's this kind of weird balance between these individuals where they feel like, you know what, I'm going to just hire someone to do this or have them do it and I'll just manage them. And then they just don't actually manage them.
And that's that trust but verify, right? Like when I came on the team, Maggie said that pretty early. It stuck with me. And it's to this day, it's like it goes back to that, right? We look back, why didn't we hit this? Why didn't this happen? What happened over here? And it comes back to the trust but verify. Oh, trusted way too much, verified way too little, right?
It's a bane of my existence. It's the biggest weakness I have as a leader. 100%.
It's all of us.
It's all of us. I mean, that's 100%. Yeah.
Because we want to believe the best in people, right? Yeah. We want to believe the best in people. We want to be optimistic. We're like, cool, like you've got it. We've gone through it. You're on board. You understand the KPIs. Like it's very clear. You understand what you want. And this happens at every organization, every level. It's like, cool, we're all clear on this. Good. Do you need help? Ask for support. And they're like, no, I got it. Trust me. And it's like, okay. And then it's like, no progress. And then they'll sometimes slide in a little bit of progress here and there. And you're like, oh, there's a little bit of hope there.
And then there's hope. Yeah, right. And now we're back to that same thing.
Yeah. And then you look back at the end of a quarter or the end of a year and you're just like, wow, nothing actually happened.
So this whole podcast is just like, we need to be better. Got it.
That's it. That's it. These are the mistakes we make, and we're all managing basically a $31 million a year top line portfolio.
Yeah.
And one of our companies doesn't even make revenue yet. So it's like,
it's coming.
It's good times.
It's coming.
Yeah, we'll go. It'll be great. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
But I think it's very interesting.
You guys think we should do like a weekly update on Ed's journey here?
I feel like we should.
Yeah.
So how far into it are we? You started your gym how long ago?
This is week 4. Yeah.
Okay, week 4. And then how many members are we at?
We're at 45 challenger sales.
Okay. And we're how far away from start date, like open date?
6 more weeks.
Okay. 6 more weeks.
5 more weeks. We moved it up August 20th.
Okay. So at this rate, you'll have over 100 members on 100 challengers.
Yeah. The first 2 weeks, we could not spend money on Facebook, which was keeping me up at night. So the weeks 1 and 2 to weeks 3 and 4, I mean, it is doubled. So if we average our sales, I'll tell you right now, if you maintain this average.
It's great. He's been like sending me his sheet every week of like acquisition numbers, like how the team's doing. Love it.
We should cross 150 challenger sales if nothing changes at the current, lead.
So 90,000. So you're doing $600, right, for the challenge package everyone's signing up for. So 90 grand pre-opening.
Yep.
And you're not going to stop selling, right? You're just going to roll right into it.
We will never stop selling.
Yeah. What's your class schedule going to be like when you start?
We're going to do 3 classes a day, Monday through Friday, and then 2 on Saturday. So the goal is that schedule will fill 150 people at 100% attendance, which is what I like to always start with, because I want classes to always be full. I never want there to be a dead time, because you just can't predict if things go wrong. So 1 morning time, 2 evening times, Monday through Friday, 2 mornings on Saturday. And then that's all we're going to start with. And then we'll unlock more as like actual EFT numbers maintain and grow.
The 25 person cap?
We can do 30 in the class. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you can fit 90.
90.
Okay.
Exactly.
90 in a day.
There's room for growth. Because right now we're selling about 10-ish people a week, right? Mm-hmm. So I want to be able to manage that.
That'd be good. That'd be really good.
Yeah. Yep.
What's the biggest lesson 4 weeks in?
I forgot how much I knew about lead nurture until I was like in it again and like watching it and like looking at the conversations that the team was having. And I go, oh, like I forgot how much I had learned by doing thousands and thousands and thousands of reps.
Yeah, you sat there. Like you did it even when you had like $1 million gym. You were the one, right?
Yeah, because I'm like, I'm really good at this. Every phone call or every text message is worth to me $3,000 if that was our lifetime value. I'm like, I don't want to give that up yet. I'm like, because if I do that call, that's a 2-minute call, like super well, it's going to set the person up to come in and sign up and win, right? So I'd forgotten how much I knew about that. So really documenting that and codifying it and then QAing that every single day since I brought on a full-time lead nurture person, we went from like a 40% to like a 70% show rate, which is why the close rate doesn't matter as much. Like that's why, because we're getting so many shows every single day.
Who's doing the lead nurture?
It's a remote employee that she had a lot of experience like in the franchise world, and actually met her at GymCon and we stayed in touch.
Nice. How do you pay? How do you compensate on lead nurture?
Different than everybody else. I only pay on the closes. And here's why. I never liked the idea of you get paid to book the appointment because you're going to be incentivized to just do that thing. And it doesn't mean you have to book the appointment correctly. It just means you have to book the appointment, right? And then one step further is they get paid on if they show up. But I'm like, getting them to show also isn't what I want. I want them to be framed the right way. I want them to set the authority position for the coach that's going to close them. Like I want them to work as a team. So when the sale happens, everybody gets paid. And so far it's been working really well because I want them to do the phone call. I want them to do the video message the right way. I want them to get the information on the phone. Like I want them to push them for today or tomorrow because they have to drive scarcity. So I want the incentive to be correct. And so far it's been a big win.
That's interesting that you have a higher show rate and a lower close rate doing that. That's interesting.
The team never, and this isn't their fault. Like they never had this much volume before. Like they got years of experience, but like they never met 20 people in a day before.
Are you doing one-on-one, or are you doing like small group sales?
Depending on how many show up at the time slot, we book 2 to every 30-minute time slot. So sometimes I take 1-on-2.
Very interesting.
It's great, man.
And then what are you paying the lead nurture person on the close?
20 a close.
20 a close. Okay. Is the same person that's lead nurturing also closing?
No.
Okay, so it's a different person.
Yeah.
How's it been managing this from not on location?
So far, no real issues. It's a good thing for me because I like to be there. I like to go sell. I like to be in the space. And I remember years ago, Alex was like, he goes, "Why are you still going to the gym?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "You own the gym." He goes, "Stop going there." And I was like, "What do you?" I just didn't understand it. He's like, "You work all." He goes, "Go on Saturday morning and shake hands and kiss babies." He goes, "And then go back home and work from home." And I was like, "Oh!" And then all of a sudden, all your attention opens up because no one distracts you. You can actually get work done. But like being a remote owner, like it forces me to not want to go in and save the day. I actually have to solve problems from this side, and I think it's a good growth lesson for me.
You did it the right way. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say there's a big lesson in that. I think it's a good stress test to take it back to our clients. And this is good for any listeners if you're a gym owner. If the thought of leaving your gym is impossible, like not working from your gym is impossible, then you're a phenomenal trainer. Then you're a phenomenal trainer. You will never truly become an exceptional owner unless you have your own quiet space. And it doesn't mean from home. Maybe you have an office at the gym, but it's like you have no one gets in, and you have protection, meaning like you have front desk staff that doesn't allow people back there and stuff like that. But you'll be an exceptional trainer, but you'll never truly grow your facility if you do not have the space to truly work on your business.
Yeah.
Big lesson there. How's it working with your girlfriend?
It's great. She's so much better at the things I'm bad at.
Like what? Like where do you see her excelling?
I mean, like she's from corporate HR recruiting world. So like she has all those skills, right? So like all of that side, the organizational skills, the admin stuff that has to get done. Like I basically just get to do what I'm best at, which is coaching humans on how to be better at sales and keeping their headspace clean, right? And then like doing the rah stuff. And she does everything else. So she's doing 75% of the work. So
opening date was when?
August 21st. That's our target. Here's another lesson we learned. So my biggest fear, I was like, how are we going to sell people and be like, cool, see you in 10 weeks? Like, how do we keep them hot? And we put a bunch of like social things on the calendar and like those are going well. But really the team goes, hey, can we just do like complimentary Saturday, like kickoff classes just every Saturday? And I was like,
love it.
Sure. I was like, the only thing I want on that is like they can't come every Saturday because then like we want to get everyone in at least once, get a taste of it, get the gloves, like it's kickboxing. So they started doing that, and then that improved close rate a lot because like it's Saturday. It's like first workout's this Saturday, and then the thing starts in August. Like
Beautiful.
That little adjustment helped quite a bit. So that was their idea, not mine.
A delay start would be tough. Yeah, that makes sense.
It's tricky. It's like, what are we selling to? It's like,
I want to talk real quick, and we can we'll probably close this down, but. One thing I think is really interesting, not interesting, I think it's something just top of mind for a lot of gym owners and business owners, period, whoever listens to this, is just understanding currently at the time of this recording, which is July 11th, the Fed rate is currently at like, I think it's 5 to 5.25%, which prime is at 8.25%. We're starting to see high level on our side. The debt market is really clamping down on any type of lending or anything else that we're seeing. We use services that allow for people to get loans, B2B loans, all that other stuff. And I think it's really important for people to understand what's coming. There's a 92% chance, and this is the people betting on the market right now. There's a 92% chance. These are the people that like know the markets, understand the Fed rate, and they're betting 92% that in 2 weeks, the Fed rate's going to go back up. And then there's also potentially another hike later on. And so stuff will just continue to go up, which means prime potentially could go up another to 8.5 to 8.75. Whatever, which affects all markets across the board, mortgage rates, everything. And the reason I say that is I think a lot of times, and I did this, is while we can't control it, when I was a gym owner, I didn't look ahead at all, and I didn't double down when things were great. Because I was like, it's always going to be this way. And when you have your head in the sand as a business owner, and you're just like, cool, when things are going great, you're like, cool, things are going great. Then all of a sudden COVID happens, right? And then you're like, wait a second. And you can only do this when you are in a position where you can take the time to look around. And it's not all doom and gloom, because people are going to make money. Now is the best time to make money, period. Whenever there's volatility in the marketplace, whenever there's issues, it's a great time to make money. And right now, like if I'm a gym owner, I am doubling down on my ad spend. I am doubling down on signing up clients. I am doubling down. I'm going to spend more right now. I'm going to give back to my clients more, and I'm going to do everything I can to fill my gym right now, knowing that there is going to be an increase in financial issues in the coming 6 to 12 months, right? And if things don't change, we're looking at more of an 18 to 24 month timeline of like a downturn. And so I just want to bring it up because I think I would miss a major opportunity here for anyone listening to this to understand, like, you need to dive in, like you need to double down.
And the strategy's got to be twofold, right? Because when it does hit, it's got to be operation lock the doors, right? It's like doubling down on the value of the service, right? Increasing touch points, going above and beyond for everybody. Anything and everything you can do. I'm sure every gym owner that tried to save their business did this during COVID, right? And so we had a rehearsal for this. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, when this hits, got to get back in that mode. But the thing is, we're going to be able to get through this much faster because you can still sell. Your business will be operational. Right. Yeah. So it's not like sales will just be completely killed.
And so something you did, Mike, is you're one of the only people I know that never stopped spending money during 2020.
I never shut my ads off.
Spending. You spent more. And I can promise you this, if there is a big economic downturn, which obviously we all believe that's going to happen, lead cost will go down. It will be cheaper to get leads. Here's the emotional part that messes with everybody's head. Might be harder to close them.
Might be harder to close them, but less people are competing for that lead, right? And we saw that, right? So during COVID, we just said, what do we got to do? We got to go online. We just, whatever, we figured it out, did the nurture, hey, get them to a Zoom sale. And we just kept spending. And we actually did see lead costs go down through COVID. While all the gyms in the area were closed and a lot of the other businesses were closed, it was a slight decrease. And it sucked for like 3 weeks. And then we started crushing it. And then they were selling high ticket $1,500 packages on Zoom. And we were fulfilling, we figured it out to the point where they got so good at it, leaned into the thing that originally sucked. And most people would have stopped. Most people would have said, you know what, 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks of ad spend, I don't have any sales. This isn't working. We kept going to the point where we were like 8-9 to 1 on the return selling high ticket. And then when we reopened, we just kept doing Zoom. We actually did Zoom for a year, Zoom sales, right? So like just when this does hit, whatever you're doing, just keep going. Like Alex said that to me when COVID hit, right? And I gave him a whole story about like, I don't know about this and that, literally just keep going.
Yep.
I was like, all right, took that advice. And
if you could pretend that it's happening now, like pretend you have 30 days left, create false narratives in your brain, like create pressure, just like, cause it's good right now. Like, I mean, I'm looking at my number, like we're getting $10 leads. Our acquisition cost is less than $100 right now. It's crazy. Like, it's so good. I'm like, we're going to keep going. We're going to squeeze the shit out of this. Cause like good doesn't last forever. So you got to squeeze it.
You got to jump on it while you can. And you know, what's funny though, is that we say good doesn't last forever, but there's always a good in every situation. So there's always an opportunity. It's just the normal good doesn't always last forever. So you have to learn to adjust, and you have to, maybe there's a new channel that you have to go on or a new way to sell. Like you went on Zoom and you had to do it. But at the same time, it's not like the average American is getting fitter today and less fat. So everyone's going the opposite direction. So there's plenty of opportunity no matter where you are as a gym owner. So
while there's more pressure to look better with social media and like TikTok, at the end of the day, like, I think this is the best time to own a gym.
Yeah.
Like your ability to reach people and the pressure to look good, feel good. Yeah. 100%.
Yep. Love it. Awesome, guys. Any parting words, thoughts?
Violence is the answer.
Violence is the answer. Awesome. All right. Appreciate everyone that listened to this. You can always follow us on gymowners.com. We're on Instagram, TikTok. Head to gymowners.com. We got a bunch of free resources on there to help you grow and scale your gym. For myself, Cale, Ed, and Mike, thank you for listening, and stay tuned for the next episode.